What is up, Texas hockey fans? Welcome back to Clean Sheet of Ice, a Texas hockey podcast presented by Apollo Media. Today, we're going to do some quick hits. We're going to ask if the Stars can catch the Winnipeg Jets in the standings of the Central Division and atop of the Western Conference, to be quite frank. And we're going to do some quick hits on Tyler Seguin, Rupe Hintz, Bork, and Stankoven, what happened with the trade there. And then we're going to do some Zinger Zang, presented by Zing Zang, asking which lines do you like and which ones do you not like? Which ones would you like to see in the playoffs? We'll get to it all here on Clean Sheet of Ice, a Texas hockey podcast. I am your host, Stone Strankman, joined always by Dom Garcia. How we doing, bud?
Flying like a bird, man. A couple days too long without a Stars game, but we're going to have a really big one coming up.
Yeah, it's been this is the fourth day of no Stars hockey, and I don't know what to do with myself. All I've been wanting to do is watch Mikko Rantanen and the Dallas Stars play hockey. We haven't been able to do that all week long now at this point, and it's been a struggle. I went to both practices this week in Dallas because I was like, I just need to go have Dallas Stars hockey in my life. I did it. Went to Frisco twice. Hell of a drive from Dallas to Frisco with all the traffic and construction that's going on right now, but worth it. I got to watch Dallas Stars play hockey kind of a little bit. But
how much is that drive?
It's a little over 30 minutes, a little less than 20 miles, but it's just getting through Dallas traffic and then getting on the highway and the toll roads, and then a bunch of the toll roads have traffic right now because of construction, and then it's just it's whatever. And literally the exit that you take to get to Comerica Center in Frisco to watch practice is shut down to one lane, so then the frontage road and the on road and all that kind of stuff are merging with the highway all at the same time. It just gets a little chaotic, and I'm a little bit over it, but I know it's going to last through the rest of the season, so I'm going to have to deal with it.
Sounds very familiar to a Houstonian.
Yeah, it's not nearly as bad as Houston, so it's just bad for a Dallas person that doesn't have to deal with traffic all too often. So, Dom, can the Stars catch the Jets? They have a game in hand, and they're down 6 points, and they're about to play tomorrow night, Friday night, in Winnipeg. I think they have one more matchup with the Jets towards the end of the season in April. So they have two opportunities to knock it down to 2 points, which is one win away, essentially. And then it goes to goal differential, I believe, which the Jets would win as of right now. The Jets haven't looked as strong, but they're like 6-3-1 in their last 10, which is that's like their worst 10-game stretch this year. But you could knock them down a little bit of a peg with these 2 wins against them later this season, and you could kind of fight for that number 1 overall seed to play a wild card team, so you wouldn't have to match up with Colorado in the first round, which everyone in the room wants to do, but isn't like the necessity. The goal right now is to catch the Jets. I asked Pete DeBoer about it today, or Sam did, and he was like, is the goal still to catch the Jets? And they're like, yeah, that's the main thing, is to either stay in the 2 spot or move up and get that first spot. We're chasing them down and trying to keep other people off. So that's what they're looking at. I don't think it's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is obviously to win the Stanley Cup, and whoever they have to play in the playoffs is whoever they're going to have to play in the playoffs. And they know that, but it'd be ideal to make sure you have home ice throughout the rest of the Western Conference playoffs and potentially the entire thing in the Stanley Cup. So, Dom, can the Stars catch the Jets in the standings by the end of the season?
A lot of people seem to not think so. It was so funny. Like, there was a stretch where the Stars were rolling. They were winning like 8 out of 10 games. And I'm thinking we have to be making ground on Winnipeg. And they kind of matched us like game for game. And it's felt like that all season. I'm with you though. Like, I don't see the importance of really getting to Winnipeg, because I really think we can. Like, I don't think we had to do too much to beat them. I like how we match up with them. And, that historic start they had, just at some point we knew that they would fall off, and they kind of never did. They just kind of stagnated. They never had long stretches of just feeling like tired legs, which is kind of crazy to me. But yeah, like, we've had all this time off before we play Winnipeg. Our legs are going to be fresh. I am expecting a big game from all of our players. I mean, everyone's feeling good, and the players that are hurt are coming back. I can see us getting that top seed, but even if we don't, we're really starting to create a lot of room from 2 to 3. So that's really comforting. But yeah, like, it just feels like Winnipeg has carried a weight all season from that start of the year. And Dallas is kind of just playing free. Like, they're playing Dallas Stars hockey. And that's why I believe, like, I really think that they're going to catch them. And then it's going to be Winnipeg and Colorado and not Dallas and Colorado in the opening round. With us, we're looking at who? I think Minnesota maybe, but I don't think it matters. Like, I think once we get healthy and the big players come back, like, line them up. Like, come one, come all. Like, the Stars' depth is insane.
Yeah, and if they do end up getting the number one seed in the Central, they win it, and they're the number one team in the Western Conference. They're probably playing like Calgary in the first round, which is not a fun series to play because they're a very physical team and they're a hard team to play against, but a much lesser talented team in comparison to the Stars, especially now with the Rantanen trade. If you end up in the 2 seed, then you're probably getting Colorado. I know they only are up 1 or 3 points maybe on Minnesota right now, but Minnesota doesn't have Kaprizov, and it's a little bit tougher. Colorado just got better at the trade deadline. So it would almost certainly be Colorado and Stars in the first round matchup, which is just a brutal experience. We've been doing this for 3 years now. Is like, can we catch a break on one of these series? I know we got the Kraken in 2023 or whatever, but they were a hard team to play against, and they were a very hard matchup for the Stars specifically because of all their speed and the youth that they had on that team. They pushed the Stars to the brink. They went to Game 7 in that second round matchup. But yeah, if we can, it's like, I don't care necessarily if we avoid Colorado, because in my head, I'm thinking coming into the playoffs, everyone kind of knows who they are. They understand what their lines are. They understand their power plays and all that kind of stuff. But no one has the confidence, like extra confidence in the first round series. Everyone's kind of on even playing fields. And then if you win that first round series, then you have more confidence. And then the second round gets tougher for the opposing team as well as the Stars. But everyone's kind of on even playing fields heading into the first round. So I don't mind playing Colorado in the first round. I just don't necessarily want to, because that's a Western Conference Finals matchup for me, and it's not going to happen. It can't happen, which is unfortunate for the league itself. Like, that would be an incredible Western Conference Finals series, because you get the Rantanen versus Colorado angle. You get the rivalry that we've already had in 2020, and then obviously in 2024 last season, like breaking their hearts in Colorado in Game 6 with Matt Duchene, of all people, scoring the overtime goal. Previous player, like, you have those angles, and that would be an awesome Western Conference Finals matchup. So Gary Bettman, please fix it. It was fun for the first 5 seasons, and now it's over. I'm over it. Do 1 through 8 seeding. Let the top teams that have earned their right to win their division and be a top 2 team in the West play those last 2 teams, the 7 and the 8 seed. And that could have been Colorado this year. It could have, theoretically, but they're probably not going to be a 7 seed or an 8 seed. And it would be much better to have it play out that way. Like, you got to earn it in the regular season and get rewarded for it in the playoffs, at least in the first round, before you have to play the really tough teams or the number 3 seed or the number 4 seed. Like, you should get the right to play the lesser teams if you win your division.
Yeah, and I think I'm with you in this statement. Like, it's not the importance in getting that 1 seed is not necessarily the matchup. It's just playoff Ottinger is unreal, but Ottinger this year at home has been like top
Almost
1,
unstoppable
2 goalie in all of hockey. Like, that's where the important is of that 1 seed for me. The matchup, like, to be the champion, you got to beat some of the best teams in the world anyway. And even that, like, I feel comfortable playing against anybody in the West, but goddamn, the West is so much more talented than the East. Not saying the East is bad, but the murderer's row, whoever wins the West has to go through, is insane.
Yeah, it's tough regardless of who you end up playing, if you're in the Pacific or in the Central. Central's a little bit tougher, but even in the Pacific, you got the Oilers. The Kings aren't an easy team to play against. They've got a lot of experience. They've got 2 guys that have won 3 cups with them. Like, they have all of these things, or 2 cups, whatever it is. And they're not an easy team. And then you got Vegas. Obviously, they're going to be the top seed in the Pacific. They're probably going to win it, and whatever. You're just going to play a hard team regardless of who you play in the Western Conference playoffs. It is what it is. Minnesota's not an easy team to play against, and if they get Kaprizov, it gets harder.
Yeah.
And then Calgary, not a fun team to play against. Obviously, we saw it, what was it, last week on Friday night or Thursday night, and had to go to OT at home against the Calgary Flames. They're a hard team to beat. So you're not going to have an easy road in the Western Conference. It is what it is. It's much like the NBA. The Western Conference is a gauntlet. The Eastern Conference is not a joke necessarily in the NHL, but it's a lot easier in comparison to the Western. So I would love to win the Central, hang another Central Division banner. It'll be fun, whatever. But Yeah, I wish Colorado and Stars could match up in the Western Conference Finals. That would make it a lot more fun to have that possibility of them winning 2 rounds each and then meeting in the Western Conference Finals for the storylines as well as the hockey being played. It just was probably some of the best hockey we watched last year was that, and then the Stanley Cup final, obviously 3-0 comeback. That's not bad hockey. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whenever you hear anyone talk about the Rantanen trade, like the back end of this Rantanen trade is these two teams, Colorado and Dallas, is going to be pure cinema. And I would bet money the highest rated series, again, nothing set in stone, but the highest rated series of any round that has Dallas and Colorado in it, like it's going to be that one.
yeah, it's going to be like the late 90s rivalry that they had with Sakic and Modano going against each other and competing for cups every year. And one of those teams, if they won that series, they were probably going on to either go to the cup final or win the cup. I think we're heading towards that territory for the next 3 to 5 years, probably with both of these teams. Like whatever team wins that series specifically is probably going to have a very good chance at least winning the cup, if not just getting to the cup. And hopefully the playoff format can just change. I'm tired of it. But yeah, I think it's very possible that the Stars catch the Jets with 2 games playing against them and 1 game in hand. You can easily make up that 6-point deficit as long as Winnipeg loses 1 or 2 games more than you do at the rest of the season, which hasn't happened, obviously, but it was a very large gap to start the season and is gone all the way down to 6. That's 3 games. If you win 3 games and they lose 3 games in a row, all of a sudden you're tied. So it's very possible. So quick hits presented by PrizePicks. Use code Apollo when you sign up and get up to $100 matched on your first deposit. PrizePicks is a daily fantasy app. It's not sports betting. It's daily fantasy. So shout out to PrizePicks. Use code Apollo when you sign up and get up to $100 matched on your first deposit. I was at practice the last couple of days. Got the press conferences, talked to Pete both days, and then Wyatt and Mikko the first day yesterday on Wednesday, March 12th. But Tyler Seguin, we saw him on Instagram. He was skating at Comerica Center, not with the Stars. It was after Stars practice or before Stars practice. Can't remember which one it was, but Tyler Seguin is skating. Huge for the Stars so that he's even skating. I thought he might just now be starting to skate at this point, but he's been skating for a few weeks at this point, and the hope is to get him back in the late regular season, and it's definitely a possibility at this point. So Tyler Seguin coming back to the lineup, huge.
Absolutely. I mean, it's felt like an eternity since he's been gone. The first episode we ever had, that was like the first topic we've ever had on the show was Tyler Seguin going on LTIR. And in that, we've never really seen a dip from anybody behind. We've really seen rises from a lot of players picking up the slack, from Jamie Benn to Matt Duchene, Sam Steele, Maverick. I mean, Thomas Harley, like everybody has really improved. If you get like half of Tyler Seguin's value, like which once was the best line in hockey, it's looking good. And I remember when he got hurt, I was like, man, that surgery sounds very scary. Just as a human, much less a hockey player, he's got to be one tough SOB to come back. And now he's back skating with just like people. It's really cool to see. And the fact that he's coming, progressing this well this early is pretty nuts. My prayer was that he might come back if we make it to the second round, but now it's looking like he'll be in game 1 of the playoffs, which is unreal for the deepest team already in hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. They were the best line in hockey last year by a lot of metrics and scored a lot of points together. Mason Marchment was awesome. Matt Duchene was obviously awesome. And this year, Mush, that month-long injury with the bubble, and now he's got a bubble and he can't. He had a few good games coming out of injury and then 4 Nations break, and then he comes back. It is just a little chaotic for him, and he hasn't found his step yet, and that's okay. Matt Duchene's been a point-per-game player this year. Just best contract in hockey. Then Tyler Seguin was awesome. He had 20-something points in 20-something games. Like, he was pretty much point-per-game player, and yeah, if getting him back, and then you've already added Mikael Granlund, and then you're getting Seguin back, and now you got Mikko Rantanen. It's like there's shooters everywhere, and it's terrifying for opposing teams. The deepest team in hockey, bar none, in my opinion. And getting Seguin back would be huge, and him skating is a good indication that he is on his way. So maybe next month we'll see him, and if not, then it'll be in the first round of the playoffs, which is next month technically, but later next month. So getting Seguin back would be huge. Another injury news, Roope Hintz. He did not have a fracture in his face. I think it hit his cheekbone, but no it was just a laceration and some swelling. He was not allowed to get his heart rate up for 5 days since the injury. So that happened Saturday night in Edmonton. They flew him back home to get him out of the air and not have to rise his blood pressure being on a flight. And the whole point of that is just not to keep the swelling up. It's to get the swelling down. And as of right now, I think he's skating today and tomorrow at Comerica Center by himself, obviously, because the team is leaving. They've already left. They're on their way to Winnipeg right now, 45 minutes ago. And getting Rube back is obviously good because then you can add some more chemistry with him and Mikko and kind of see where your lines are going to fall heading towards the playoffs. And we'll see. He might join the team on Saturday in Colorado after their Winnipeg game and Friday. Be huge. If he has a good day today and tomorrow, then he'll be on a flight and go to Colorado on Saturday, join the team, and then probably play on Sunday, which would be huge.
Yeah, that would be big. He's never like, boy, when that injury happened, was it Mikko's first game or was it before?
It was Mikko's first game. It was against the Oilers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was. Dude.
Yeah, it was like late second period, I think.
Okay, yeah, because that power play, like the idea of Rupe Hintz on the second power play unit is just nuts. Like the Dallas Stars' second power play is as lethal as like a lot of teams' just general power play. Like getting him back is a must. Right now is just kind of it's like when you get to the end of the year in baseball and you're just like, all you pitchers just please, like if you need a 70 pitch outing or even a 65, we'll do it because we just need to get to it's that time of the year where we just need to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he'll be just fine. And we'll talk about the lines with Rupe and Mikko and Wyatt and who's going to be on that top line with Mikko at a later date. But we'll talk about it today and kind of bring up some things that I've seen in practice. Getting Rupe back is going to be huge. I think more than likely he's going to be on the top line with Mikko, but who's to say that this game on Friday against Winnipeg, you see a certain line with Wyatt Johnston being the center and Mikko on the right side. Pete DeBoer might see some things and be like, all right, yeah, that might be my line. That might just be it. And then Rupe, I don't know if he plays on the top line with Mikko, he's probably on the top line of the power play, and that puts Wyatt Johnston on the second power play unit, which another great center to have on the second power play unit. So, yeah. But good news from Rupe. He can skate today and tomorrow and see where he's at. And if he doesn't play Sunday, then he'll probably play Tuesday at home with Mikko in his home debut for the Dallas Stars, which is going to be awesome. So can't wait for that. But last thing, seen a lot of things. So Mikko Rantanen yesterday at practice did a full press conference with the media. A lot of media there, a lot of fans there. So a lot of buzz. And obviously we're heading into the last 15, 16, 17 games of the season. There's going to be more media outlets coming to games and practice and everything. So it's going to get a little bit more crowded, which is annoying, but whatever, since we've been there all season. But Mikko Rantanen, when he got traded to Carolina, he had an open mind, is what he said, and was open to playing there and signing there for the 8-year, $12 million extension that he got in Dallas. But the rumors are that it was around $13.5, $14 million in Carolina, what they offered. But the fit wasn't good. And that's what he said. He just didn't fit in on that hockey team because of the style of play. And maybe he didn't like Raleigh after those few weeks and was like, yeah, I don't want to be here. And it was never he showed up and said, I only want to play for these 4 teams, figure out a way to get me there. He said that was not the case, despite what the owner, the GM, and the coach have said in Carolina. Somewhere the truth lies in the middle, I would assume. But Carolina got Stankoven. They got our boy. They got our boy Logan Stankoven, and we love him. So my question, not my question, but Robert's question today, while we were watching practice, it was me, Robert Tiffin, and Sam Nessler sitting there, and we were talking about, did the Stars prefer Maverick Bourque over Logan Stankoven at this time, or was it Carolina saying we want Stank, not Bourque? I don't know, and that's just a weird question that we're probably never going to know about this trade. And from what we were discussing, it seems like Maverick Bourque does a lot of different things if he's not scoring a lot better than Logan Stankoven did, and that's not a knock on Logan. Like Logan, I think, had to score in order to play even better than what he was doing, and he wasn't scoring at that time. So I think it affected other parts of his game. Whereas Maverick, if he doesn't score, he's fine. He's going to go chip in pucks. He's going to go fight on the boards. He's going to go play on the PK. He's going to go play on the power play if he needs to. And that was my question: is did the Stars prefer Maverick Bourque over Stankoven, or did the Stars or did Carolina just prefer Stank over Bork? What was your
I have
opinion
to
on that?
believe Carolina preferred Stank over Borg. I think Carolina saw all of the press release, like when Stankoven last year emerged into the NHL. I mean, he caught fire and he was starting to get a lot of notice, and he's playing really well. He's a very good player. Like I don't not see why they would want him. But even I remember being at Big City Wings. Shout out to Big City Wings. Watching the Texans lose to the
Chiefs
Chiefs.
game,
And I
yeah.
remember saying, dude, I've underestimated how good Maverick Borg is. Like game
Mhm.
after game, he's like that glue that connects plays together. Sometimes showing up in the stat sheet, sometimes not. But this year, like there has been just a consistent level of listen, your third or fourth line guy, if he's a Maverick Borg, that's all you could ask for. And with Stankoven in Carolina, after that first goal went in, I realized like this, if there was ever a team that was fit for Logan Stankoven, it was Carolina. I mean, I think they put him right there on the first line, and the
He
way
did.
he plays is exactly what they want. And I think that raises the question like, I get being aggressive if you're Carolina and going to get Mikko Rantanen, but telling a player with that much stick skill, we're going to go dump and chase, it's a little ridiculous to me. And then, I love how Jim Neal showed how to be a GM and said, whoa, we'll figure out a contract and then we'll sign the deal. Like that's how GMing is done. We're not perfect. We're all humans, but I saw the stories that you saw and you were in the room with Mikko Rantanen at practice. Like this whole story plays out. I kind of believe Mikko's side of the story rather than the coach and the GM in Carolina. They tried, it didn't work, but I just think with how much with how Stankoven came out of the gate and just the way he plays and him in Cantaloupes, him in World Juniors, like I think it was a fit for him over Maverick Borg. Maverick Borg is a super under the radar guy. Will he ever be a first line, second line guy? I don't know, but he'll be a great third liner.
Yeah, absolutely. And to point out, Maverick Bork and Stank, when they played together in the minors, they were pretty much identical points wise. If one of them was scoring, the other one had the assist. If the other was scoring, then the other guy had the assist. Like they were a dynamic duo. They led the team or the league in points, both of them, until Stank got called up, and then Bork, I think, ended up winning the MVP of the league. And they're both really good hockey players. I think Bork offers you more right now, and maybe he doesn't offer you as much later on down the road. But if Maverick Bork turns into Sam Steele and he's just your fourth line center for the next 5 years, you're not going to hate that. He's a good PK guy. He's still learning. And Pete DeBoer mentioned it today that at the beginning of the season, he obviously did not have a great start to the season. He didn't seem super comfortable. He was battling an injury in training camp in preseason, so he didn't get to start the season. I think he missed the first game or two at home, and he had a little bit of a slow start, which we saw with Jason Robertson and Wyatt Johnston, who both missed time in training camp and preseason to injuries. So that happened to three different guys, if not more, and Dumba as well. He was another guy that was coming off of injury, and we saw what happened. It took him full half of a season before he came back. So I think Bork's now pretty healthy and understanding like the systems and what his role is and everything. And he seems just much more comfortable and much more aggressive at the same time, whereas Stank was always aggressive, but he wasn't converting on his chances, whereas Maverick isn't getting as many chances, but he's continuing to be as aggressive when he does get those chances. So it's a weird conundrum. I love Stankoven. He was a joy to watch. He's going to be my favorite player that's not on the Stars to watch now. And Bork, he's a hell of a player. He's a good guy. He mentioned in the locker room the other day to Sam Nessler that the trade, like while it made the team a lot better, you get a superstar, Mikko Rantanen, kind of sucked because that was his best friend and his training partner. Like him and Logan would always go on the ice together. They were always the first guys off the ice, whether it be at the game or in practice. Like they're just little Energizer bunnies, and they live together and all that. So the one side of the trade is that it sucks because he lost his friend first and his teammate and his training partner. And then it was pretty awesome because you get Mikko Rantanen out of it. So not super somber, but pointed it out multiple times that like, yeah, it's a great trade, but it still sucks. And it's a business and he gets all of that. So credit to Bork for continuing to grind, even though he didn't start the season off too well. And now it seems like Pete DeBoer trusts him and he's going to keep moving on up. And maybe one day he's your second line center or your third line center. And he's still has the potential to be that 25, 35 goal scorer in the NHL. We just haven't seen it as much as we saw from Stank last season. So I don't think you lost. Like, if you lost either one of those guys, it would suck either way. But Stankoven was a fan favorite already because he played last year and in the playoffs. So it was a little bit more of a hit to Stars Twitter and Stars fandom. So good times. Carolina, good riddance. Don't care about you anymore other than Logan. I'll root for the guys, but I won't root for the people running that organization. It doesn't seem like it's a great organization to play for outside of the coach.
And they got really good fans too. Like the Caniacs, man,
Awesome
they're
fans.
awesome. I follow a few of them. I know you're friends with one of them. Just like you kind of got the sorry end of the stick by all of the media when the trade went down. But I promise you, over time, like Logan Stankoven's you're going to fall in love with him, and he's going to be your guy for a long time.
Yeah, and if you draft another Marty Necas and Drury in the draft with those picks, came out pretty even, Steven, if not above it. So last segment, Zing or Zang, presented by Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. Go get it wherever you get your Bloody Mary mix or margarita mix. We love Zing Zang. So Zing is going to be a yes. Zang is going to be a no. Stars new lines as of right now during practice this week. We've seen the top line of Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnston, and Mikko Rantanen. Zing or Zang, Dom?
There's so much firepower on the right side. I'm going to zing it.
I love this line. It's a huge zing for me. Wyatt with Jamie in general, whoever you put on the right side is going to be really good. Jamie plays a lot better with Wyatt that I've seen this year and last year. Obviously, Jamie had almost 30 goals last year. Wyatt Johnston had 32 the year before. They play really well together, and Wyatt doesn't have to worry about getting physically punished, is what Pete DeBoer said when Jamie's on the line with him, because Jamie's just not going to let that happen. If it happens once, it will not happen again. But then you add Mikko Rantanen on the right side, 6'4". He's the moose. He's massive on skates. I was talking to him in the locker room today, and I was just staring straight up at him. Like, he's massive. He's big boy. So having those two guys with Wyatt, I think is really interesting. And Wyatt's a right-handed shot, who played center and was a right-handed shot with Mikko Rantanen for the last decade.
Nathan MacKinnon.
Turns out he's pretty good. Wyatt Johnston ahead of McKinnon's numbers for the first 3 seasons of their career. Not a big deal. So I think that affects like the kind of setup chances that he gets from the center position to Mikko and what scoring chances he can create and give Wyatt. I think that's a good mix for now. Obviously, Rupe, he might be back on Sunday, so we'll see what happens there. But that's a huge thing for me. Line 2. Jason Robertson, Matt Duchene, and Mikael Granlund. Singers name.
Dude, this is like 100 zings, man. Like,
it's so
Jason Robinson on your second line, Mikael Granlund, who got his first goal, and he's looked really good since 4 Nations. Like, this is just an embarrassment of riches. Like, however many zings I can do, I'm giving it. Zing it up.
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking about is when Rupe comes back, if Wyatt, Jamie, and Mikko look really good on Friday night, do you roll with Robo, Rupe, and Duchene on your right side? It's 3 left-handed shots. I get that Duchene is a center, but can play the wing. Like, that's a hell of a line too. And then you put Granny on the third line.
Dude, dude, the passing in that line
is disgusting.
Oh my gosh. That might be my favorite line in like the entire, like, that's my favorite line right there. I know it doesn't make sense as far as like stick work, but like left and right sticks, but that's my favorite line.
And the Stars don't have a lot of right-handed shots. I think it's literally just Mikko, Wyatt, and then maybe one of the guys on the fourth line. I don't know if it's Back or Blackwell. Yeah. I can't remember. But because Daddy's a left-handed shot, but he plays right wing. Maverick's a right-handed guy. There's the other one. So yeah, that line would be disgusting, but it's also going to turn into Duchene, Sagan, and Mush at one point during the playoffs. Like, that's going to happen. It's not. They're not going to separate that line. It's coming back. Maybe not, but I would assume it's going to come back unless this Robo Duchene Granny or Robo Duchene Rupe line just starts going off for the last 10 games of the season. I would expect that Sagan, Mush, and Duchene line comes back together, and then it depends on what Robo and Rupe and if it's Miko or if it's Maverick or if it's Daddy or Granny or whoever it's going to be. Like, got so many options. So that's a huge thing for me. Third line at practice today was Mason Marchment, Maverick, and Dadonov. Zing or zang?
Mason Marchment, Maverick, and Dadonov. Maverick.
He's in the center position there.
Yeah. I'm kind of in between both, but can't be halfway in it. I'll zing it. Just because the way Dadonov has always, whenever you need something and both benches are extremely tired running on heavy legs, Dadonov just seems to be that guy that will find a dribbler that will get right past that goalie. And him and Marchman kind of, this season, man, taking a puck to the face sucks. Like, if he can get rolling like we know he can, like, that's going to be filthy. I'll zing it.
I'm right there with you. It's right down the middle, so I'll zing it.
Yeah.
So we go right down the middle. Mush, he just hasn't been the same guy for the last couple of weeks, obviously coming back from injury and then Four Nations break and then having to come back and play. It's been a tough sled for him, and he's also lost Sagan, and the lines have been shifted a bunch and playing with different line mates. And I think they're just trying to get him going, see what he can do. But that line in a vacuum is not a bad line, but it will not be your third line come playoff time. Like, it's just not going to happen. But Mush is huge. He's like 6'5", and then Maverick and Daddy are small, but a lot of skill, a lot of good passing on that, a lot of hard play as well. Like, they're going to dig for pucks. They're going to be fast and obnoxious at some points. Like, Maverick and Mush are both just terrorists to the other teams. Like, they're pests. So it's not a bad line. I'm curious to see how it plays out tomorrow in Winnipeg, because that's probably what's going to happen if that's what they practice with this week. And then the fourth line, Blackwell, Steele, and Oscar Back. Typical fourth line. Love it. Zing.
Yeah, dude. That's a nasty, like, for fourth lines, like the bar that's set for fourth lines, that's a pretty nasty fourth line, man. Like, Oscar Beck can fool you. Like, I'm zinging that.
Yeah. Oscar Back has been lovely this year. He had some size to that fourth line because it is a small fourth line. Sam Steele and Blackwell are around my size, 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", somewhere in there. So they're not huge, but Oscar, he's like 6'4", 6'5". He's a big boy. So, yeah, I love that fourth line, and I love it with Evgeny Dadonov or Blackwell or Maverick. Whoever you're going to put on that fourth line, I love it with Steele and Back. It's just, they're a joy to watch. They're pests, and they create a lot of really good chances kind of out of nowhere off a really good forecheck, and they can get those breakaway goals too, like Sam Steele on the PK a couple weeks ago where he just outran Dougie Hamilton against New Jersey. Like, he got the puck around 10 feet behind Dougie and just outran him, outskated him down the ice, and got the good backhand goal. And yeah, the fourth line's sick. So that's a zing for me, no matter who is in, if it's Blackwell, Maverick, or Daddy. Like, one of those three guys with Back and Steele. Love it.
Putting lines together for the Dallas Stars feels like playing fantasy hockey. Like, there's just talent everywhere.
You're playing chill. Like, you're playing Hockey Ultimate Team, and you can go buy all these cards and put them all together, and your top three lines are disgusting, and then your fourth line is a fourth line, like a true fourth line, like just a bunch of grinders, but they also have a lot of skill on the fourth line, which a lot of teams don't have. So it's a lot of grinders across the NHL that are playing on the fourth line, and credit to them. But we got a first round pick in the middle, Sam Steele. It was a first round pick for Anaheim like a few years ago. Like, he's played 400 games or something like that now, and 300 games. I can't remember which one it is, but yeah, just a hell of a line. Oscar Back's here to stay for another 2 years. I believe he signed his extension at kind of the same rate, around the high 800s, I believe, or 900 something. So credit to him. He's going to stay around. He earned his NHL position. He earned Pete DeBoer's trust, which is the biggest thing of all time, because we've seen Nils Lundqvist and others that just don't even get to break the lineup come playoff time because he doesn't trust them enough. And Oscar Back has obviously earned that trust. He got that extension. Credit to him. These lines are disgusting. And then you get to add Rupe back in the next couple of days, or Tuesday next week. And then you had Sagan back at playoff. And then defense. Oh, yeah, Miro Heiskanen. He's coming back first round. Not a big deal.
Just one of the best defenders in all of hockey.
Yeah, top 10 defender, and you just put him on the top line with Esa Lindell. Mm.
And yeah, and then on the second line, you ever heard of Thomas Harley?
Oh,
Yeah,
Norris candidate 2026.
pretty good player.
Yeah, pretty decent. Lyubushkin's been awesome this year. And then your third line. Oh, yeah, that was the other thing for practice today. Liam Bichsel, not at practice today, woke up a little under the weather, a little sick, so they chose not to bring him in. They don't know if he's flying with them or not. I couldn't tell you if he flew with them or not today. But he's a little sick. So that's a little bit of a stinger. But Brendan Smith, he's been perfectly fine on that third D pairing this season. He's not the best, but he's not the worst. So you deal with it for a game or two, and then Bischel's back, and it'll be just fine. So then it'll be Bichsel, Dumba, or CC come playoff time.
Yeah,
Depending on who's the matchup and who's better.
I feel like we're finally getting the Matt Dumba that even I think Toronto wanted when it's not easy just complete. Mikko Rantanen found out when he got to Colorado or Carolina, like it's not easy just learning a new system, but Peter DeBoer, he believes in the way he coaches, and I think finally now we're starting to see that rhythm and click that Matt Dumba has, and I think he scored a goal not too long ago. Like he's coming on, and that's your like back end guy. So
that's your third pairing. Yeah, I talked to Dumba yesterday in the locker room, and I was like, "Hey, you've been playing really well over the last month or so, probably since the new year. You've been kind of turned a corner. Is that like you're kind of over your injuries now, or is that learning the system and you've kind of got a good grasp on it and you know what you need to do and what you haven't done and kind of fixing all those issues?" And he said it's kind of a combination of both. Like he came in injured and then he got the facial injury, which we still don't know about. Maybe one day we'll figure it out, but maybe probably won't. They're hockey players. They're never going to tell us. So then he got injured again, came back a few weeks later, wears a bubble, which we've seen with Mason Marchment. Terrible, not great. Not easy to play with, not fun to play with. And now since the new year, he's kind of turned a corner. Late January, middle January is kind of when he started to see some signs of life, I guess. And then February, he's been really good. March, he's been pretty good. So if he's your third guy, then that's great. If CC's your third guy, that's great too. Like he's got multiple points now, like 6 or 7 points now with the Stars since the trade. So if you're getting points from your third D pairing, right-handed defenseman, huge. And they're both doing it right now. So we'll see what happens come playoff time, depending on the matchup, I would believe. And if they wanted a little bit more size, they'll go with CC. He's a little bit taller and bigger. If they wanted Dumba to play, I don't hate having Dumba in there. He's kind of an enforcer, and your third D pairing, they're going to play 12 to 15 minutes a night in the playoffs. It's not going to be huge. It's not a huge load for any of the guys. So they're just stacked across the board. The lines, the D pairings, it's incredible. Oh, yeah, and Jake Ottinger's your goalie. So welcome to playoff time, boys.
Playoff Otter, just nothing to worry about. Just one of the best goalies in all of hockey. But yeah, I didn't think about like Dumba coming in like that. I mean, with all the injuries in that face, he seems like a bigger leader than people lead on. I heard a story that like when Granlund got traded, they played together, and he was like the first person Granlund saw when he got to Dallas. He's been like Liam Bischel's older brother this entire time, and I think Peter DeBoer kind of saw something. I mean, you're in the locker room, I'm not, but Dumba seems like a guy that everyone rallies around, whether he's playing good, whether he's playing bad, and he's been playing very good as of recently.
Yeah, I think he's a good part of the locker room. I don't know if he's one of the most vocal leader or if he is. Like, I couldn't tell you that part, but everyone in the locker room loves him. And they said that from day one. They love Dumba. And regardless of the Pavelski hit a couple seasons ago in the playoffs, and he's a pest and he's an asshole to play against, and they loved him immediately. So I think that was a huge part of me being like, all right, I'll just give Dumba this whole season to figure it out. And if he does, then that's awesome. If he doesn't, then I'll start harping on it next year. But yeah, he's starting to figure it out. He's playing a lot of clean hockey as opposed to not. And then he stuck up for Liam Bichsel and was at New York against the Islanders. And he's doing all the right things, and everybody he plays hard and the team loves him, and he's going to do what he does. Like Dumba he's a player. He's going to take chances, and he's going to do what Thomas Harley does, but he doesn't have the same skill as Thomas Harley necessarily. And you live with it and you die with it, whatever. But the guys in the locker room love Dumba, and it's very apparent. He was seen joking with Thomas Harley today in the locker room and having a good time, and before they got on a flight. So I love Dumba. He's been very kind to me in the locker room. He always talks to me about golf. It's always a good time. So shout out to Matt Dumba. Maybe we'll get him on this summer for a podcast. We'll see if I can swing that throughout the playoffs or the rest of this regular season.
That'd be awesome, because I mean, I've said it here before, like growing up in Houston, all we had was the Arrows, and he was a first round pick in Minnesota. And so I saw his very first ever AHL game right here in Houston at the Toyota Center. I still remember it.
Yeah, I'll mention that to him. So we'll start swinging that. I'm going to try to play some golf with him at some point, maybe too. I'm going to try to make sure he stays in Dallas at some point this summer so I can go play golf if he wants to go play it, because I don't have access to those things. But yeah, that's Clean Sheet Advice. The quick hits, Zinger Zang. Shout out to Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. Go get it wherever you get it. They got the ready-to-drink cans with the Bloody Mary mix and the alcohol already in there, so you don't have to worry about making your own drinks. You can go on the go. We use them for tailgates in the morning before a big hockey game. Maybe do it tomorrow if you don't have work. I wouldn't recommend doing it before work, but hey, I don't know where you work, so you can do whatever you want. Shout out to Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix, and shout out to Prize Picks. Use code Apollo when you sign up and get to $100 match on your first deposit. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app where you hit more or less on every stat, every game, every night, every player. Love Prize Picks, love Zing Zang, love hockey, love Texas hockey. Saturday, St. Arnold's. We're going to be there, Hockey Day in Houston. We're going to have the Howell brothers there, and we're going to have a good time. We're going to watch some hockey. I'll have probably my Jason Robertson jersey on. So if you come see us, go to St. Arnold's on Saturday. Come up to us, chat us up about hockey and Stars or whoever you root for. We'd love to see you, and we'd love to catch up and have a good time. Watch some hockey in Houston. It's going to be awesome. Hockey Day in Houston at St. Arnold's. We'll be there Saturday. This has been Clean Sheet Advice, a Texas Hockey Podcast presented by Apollo Media. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in.